All right, welcome in to episode number 5 of the Nap Bros podcast. We are the Nap Bros. We are bringing sovereignty to you this time around. This is going to be we're going to be talking about chapter 5, known as the Path. Um, so yeah, um, you have an overview of like what was talked about, or anything that.
I mean, not as what's the word? Not as in depth as you got an overview of. For me, I still feel like he's kind of setting the whole book up almost. Trying to
Yeah, I
feel
mean
like,
that's kind of what the first 3 chapters seem to be, is just kind of like leading into here's what to expect.
I do love that quote right there. Like that quote's amazing. There's a quote in the book from Philip Brooks. Hold on, going out of frame for a little bit.
Okay,
Gotta
gotta
get my
grab the book.
coffee. Gotta get
Oh,
my coffee.
coffee.
No, I got the quote. Gotta get my coffee. Philip Brooks, American author. I don't know too much about this man, honestly, but the quote, sad will be the day for a man who becomes absolutely contented with the life that he is living, with the thoughts that he is thinking, with the deeds that he is doing, when there is not forever beating at the doors of his soul some great desire to do something larger, which he knows that he was meant and made to do because he is a child of God. Which, doing a quick Google search, Philip Brooks is also a pastor and an author.
A pasture or a pastor?
Yes, he was a field of grass, but also a preacher.
uh,
For those of you that don't know, my brother likes to give me a hard time about my English,
that's
even though
just, I
he
mean,
can't, even
being an
though he
English
can't
teacher.
add, but whatever.
What are you talking? What are you talking about? Do you want to have this whole conversation about what exponential means that we like talked about
That's
on?
not necessary. That is not necessary. So my strong suit would be math to a point.
Yeah.
His strong suit would be, I don't know, what is your strong suit? I'm sorry. Can you refresh my memory?
Everything else.
His
Apparently,
strong suit is
definitions of
arguing.
words.
He is great at arguing. He's 110%. That is his
Yeah, yeah.
top gift to
So
the earth.
speaking of arguments, so it's interesting because I actually don't like this quote. I actually think this quote is actually kind of a crappy quote because, like, I don't know. It's weird because being content. Now, I understand it's difficult because maybe like semantics could be played. Maybe there's an issue with the terminology being used. Maybe content or contentedness back in his time, because this guy lived in the 1800s, and so maybe back in his time, there wasn't really, like, there wasn't this idea of content and complacent. Okay, maybe it was just like contentment, complacency. And to me, being content is more about being at a point in your life where you feel good about yourself, and good about what you're doing, and good about kind of your life. As where for him, or what it seems like, is it seems like, uh in this particular quote, like, being content is maybe being complacent. And so we can we can discuss or argue the different colloquialisms of the time, but like, to me, I would yeah, it's a big word, I know, a big fancy word, but basically, like how they said things back in that day. Like, if content meant
They
not
didn't have
doing
as many words
anything,
as we have now, basically.
right? If content meant like not being, or being comfortable with where you are and not actually trying to
I
grow or
don't think
become
I don't think it
better.
means that at all. I think you're getting, like you said, caught up in the semantics of the word as we know it now. I think back then his idea of contentedness was you're not driving to be better. When you wake up in the morning or whatever, evening, daytime, and when you wake up, do you have a drive or desire to make today better than yesterday? to make yourself better than you were yesterday. So he's saying, if you're just sitting there doing the same old, not learning, not improving, not doing this, if you're not growing, what's the opposite of growing? You know what I mean? It's dying. That's the answer. If you're not growing, you're dying, basically.
Yeah, or atrophying. I think if you're not being used, then whatever, it's atrophying, right?
Right.
So
I mean, Google's my favorite thing to look up.
yeah.
It'd be
Uh,
like, uh, do you? Let's explain something real quick, just so that people know. Do you can't really get on Google, or can you there in China?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No. I can. It's just that there are ways around. There are ways around the Great
Like as long as
Firewall.
you have
A certain
VPN.
way to jump over it. Yeah. um. So let's go with this. The I
Google
think
says Google says the opposite is shrinking or withering.
yeah, atrophy. Yeah, if you look up the word for
Never use
atrophy,
that
it's
word.
kind of that.
Never use
People use
atrophy.
that word. People use that word. So in that particular sense, with the idea of not growing or not getting better, I think one of the things that we've got to like maybe try and figure out is like because I don't want people to think, oh, okay, well, like I don't know, maybe I don't want people to think that like if you aren't, oh, man, how do you say this? There could come an issue with like your mentality or your emotional uh, strength if you are like anxiety or being concerned if you are saying that like if you're comparing yourself to other people because I think that that's where like a difficulty comes in for us is like we we want to be better than we were yesterday. We should want to be better than we were yesterday. But sometimes what that falls into am I as good as this person or that person or these people? And I think that that could be like if you're comparing yourself to certain things like comparing yourself to others and that's kind of a challenge and that could force some problems.
Nah, I feel like everybody's gonna get their own little idea out of it. My thought process, if you're not growing, you're atrophying. Nice big word for the morning time
There
for
you go.
me. Um, but at the same time, like you can be happy. Like I think you're confusing content, happiness, and complacent. You're throwing all three of those things kind of in the same gist of it. You can be happy and be content with your life, but not complacent at the same time.
Right. No. I agree with that. I just think that like if we were to like kind of put it in there, I think in our society today, content is not the best word to use. I think complacent is probably the right word like to use in that particular quote.
I've asked people before, honestly, like it's just I wouldn't say kids, but people that are younger than me, 20-year-old people. Yeah, at work itself, when I used to work at Bendix, when I work at Lord now, I'm like, I think they're smart people. I'm like, the question is like, what are you doing? Like, are you just planning on staying here for the rest of your life, or are you going to try and be better? And it's like most people don't think of it. And I'm like, it's not like a call out to them. It's not like, hey, you suck. You're not doing nothing with your life. It's like you have to want to do something better. You have to. Like otherwise, what's the point? What's the point of even coming to work if you're not trying to be a better anything? What's the point of having a family if you're not trying to raise them to be better than you are? What's the point of, you know, going to sleep and waking up if you're not trying to drive for something? You have to have a purpose always. A lot of men wake up, like the robot comment last week, the guy sitting in the car, his wife's yelling at the kids, you know, he's just there. You're just there, and existence is not just being there. And,
Right.
that goes into the next point. It's like, what do you do differently? How do you do something differently? Are you willing to step outside your comfort zone not be content anymore,
Yeah.
not be complacent in your life. I can be happy and still not be standing still.
Right. Right. No. No. No, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think.
I'll say that I had this fault too. In my marriage, in my life itself, like I would have been more than happy to stay at some meaningless job raising my kids. But that's the point. There's growth there and there's not growth there. My job, I had no intention of going to school ever. I was happy with that.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have like, dad always had a drive for like, let's start a business, let's be millionaires. No, you know what? Because my drive was raising my kids. I'm content with coming home every day and seeing my kids because that's my growth.
Hmm.
Me trying to be a
Hmm.
better man by raising somebody better than myself.
Hmm.
Plus, the names I have for my kids, it all is kind of like, aspects, I don't know. Did you cut out the names last week?
No, I haven't edited it, but I probably won't. I'll probably just leave them in
So,
just
so
because.
for instance, like I know it's gonna sound like conceited, but I named my firstborn Alexander, 100% after Alexander the Great because he conquered the known world. And I guess kind of like what it is, as a father, as a man, it's like you want your kids to be better than you.
Mhm.
You know, there's some people like, hey, I'm happy with my kids, I'm happy with my job, I'm happy with my wife, but at the same time, you have to be driving towards something. And I think, it goes in everything too. It's not just kids, marriage. I know that my drive for my education now probably took precedent over a lot of things in the sense of like, going to school for engineering is not easy. I
No.
mean, it's, even now I got more free time than I've ever had, but it's still just like, I mean, at the end of the day, I run out of hours versus what I need to do, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Um,
do you? So now, I mean, I guess, kind of getting into that. Do you think that now, with the things that are going on in your relationship, and like working towards divorce, working towards getting your kids, do you feel like now school has become, and not just school, but I mean, still obviously you feel that drive of wanting to be a good father to your kids and still wanting to be getting better in that regards. But do you also feel like now that this particular aspect of your life is almost gone, as far as your relationship, um, do you feel like you're driving towards trying to be better in a different area now, besides raising your kids, but also somewhere else?
no, it's kind of like, I'm still not great at schoolwork. Like, I hate tests,
I'd
subject
I'd
test.
love to check and see how many people actually like tests. Like I want to test that out. Like I
Well,
don't I don't
it's
I
like,
don't think you're.
so, the professors we have, they all teach differently. And like, the professor I hated the most because he made you try was the one that taught me the most too. And I'll admit that 100%. It's like, there's some people that don't teach very well at all. And you're like, geez, like I need to teach myself. And that's where it comes from. Like, I don't like teaching myself, so to speak.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, yes and no. I find myself doing more than I probably would have been if I had the kids, if I was still at home, but also doing less too, in the sense of like, um, when I did have the kids, I didn't have weekends available for myself. So yeah,
Right.
now that the kids have been taken, yeah, I have plenty of time.
Right.
Um, the other thing is like, there's more to some of the schoolwork too. Like, there's the senior project I'm in where it takes 10 hours a week to where, we're building a car basically. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's not enough time for that and everything else I'm doing. Like, I went in yesterday to school to do work on the car because through the week, trying to work, trying to go to school, trying to start going to the gym, to be healthier, things have changed, and that's the drive too. It's like, back to the content thing. It's like, he even points to, you trying to be healthier could be a way of driving yourself. You're trying to be better. It's not just job, family. There's other aspects of your life. Knowledge. If you're trying to gain knowledge, going to school, self help books. Trying to start a business. You're working towards something.
Yeah. I
More
think I
time,
think
yes. More dedication and focus on it, no. If that makes sense to answer your question,
uh,
point blank.
I I think one of the things that kind of like he also kind of brings up is I think ultimately what he's gonna probably get into, what it seems like, is getting into this idea of kind of like hitting all those aspects at the same time, like not like well like you were saying where you were content or like at like not really a growth point at your work before, but we're focusing more on the kids. I think what he might end up doing is starting to like being content at work, yes, but also still trying to become better in your career, in other aspects or other
So you're
ways. And
thinking
then
maybe he's gonna like say you need to be working towards something in everything in your
I
life.
think so. I think that's what he's gonna. I think that's what he's gonna drive us home to. Not saying like you've got to do 100%. I don't want to say like not like you got to increase it like 100-fold in every single aspect, but be like working to adjust and increase in every aspect, like in relationships, in your spirituality,
Well,
in
instead of
your strength.
speculating, we will read the book and get into that later
That's
on.
true. That is true. Um, what do you think
Um,
about this idea where he talks about these what if scenarios, like this idea that
oh
uh,
yeah, 100%. Like for
well,
me,
let me read what it, so he goes, what if, like questions that we'll be asking ourselves
mm,
potentially, what if I have to do something different? And he's like, you will. What if some people don't like who I will have to become? And he's like, there will be people like that. And he's like, what if I lose some friendships along the way? And he's like, you might. So what are your thoughts? I mean, he obviously says that'll happen. Um, Obviously, I think we'll have to do something different. I think that's kind of a no brainer. Like I feel like that's obvious, but and I'm sure that there will be some people who won't like what we become. In I mean whether it's you and what's going on in your
so let me put it in my lifestyle. I knew there was something wrong with our relationship. And things were going on. The abuse that she was subjecting me to was, enough was enough, basically. And, I told her, I was like, we need a break, all this other stuff. Granted, it was a lot worse because it was during the midst of a fight, but, you know, jumping out of my comfort zone saying, hey, enough's enough. I'm not coming back until we work on this. Not knowing all the things I know now, like before we even found out she was having an affair.
yeah
I'm not coming back. It's not going to keep working like this. And knowing good and well what she had done, she was still over here trying to act like she was innocent too. Like that's what it was. It's like, and that's hindsight. That's not important for me. But stepping out, and like, I'm not okay with this. The
hmm
kids see you doing it. They think it's okay. Your oldest son wants to jump in and help out. He thinks it's all
yeah
right for you to be doing this. You know that that is 100%. And you know what? I stand to lose everything now
right
because of all the stuff that she's lied about and all the stuff that she's trying to say I'm doing. Like I stand to lose. Like engineering's based on ethics. So if I get in trouble with the court like she's trying to get me to, I ain't gonna get a job nowhere with that degree. I might as well just move to Mexico and start over. you know,
there
move to China, start teaching English somewhere. They
you
don't
go
do
there you go
background checks.
yeah
That's a good
oh they well
idea.
they do, but they don't really care necessarily, as long as you don't do anything super illegal. They're okay. Like you can't kill people. Like that's a big deal.
Oh, that's against the law.
You're not allowed to do
Oh,
it. So
but
yeah,
anyways, yeah, of course, yes. Nobody's gonna love it. You're gonna feel uncomfortable. You're gonna be scared, worried, anxious, a little bit depressed, maybe.
I guess from my perspective, I don't know if there would be. I mean, I guess I could definitely see like where if this turns into what he's saying it'll turn into. What he's kind of like, I don't want to say threatening, but kind of like threatening it'll do to us and for us. Like I could see it definitely being a challenge for my wife, where I start to adjust and start to kind of like take control in places that or start to make decisions or start moving in a direction that I mean, obviously not without like talking with her about it, but it's going to be weird and different in the sense that, I mean, obviously, like I kind of feel like I need to make sure that she understands that this is for our good, our benefit, and not just like me, but also explaining that like it's got to happen, like we've got to do it, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm kind of curious. So yeah, I don't know if any of this. I mean, obviously, I've got to do something different, but I don't know if she may not like that. I don't think there's going to be any friendships that I lose along the way. Maybe, I'm not sure, but yeah. So yeah, and I guess yeah, we'll hop down into this the mission where he talks about how men need a mission, that we have to have a mission, and that without a mission we wander around aimlessly. And I think it's interesting. Actually, I had a pretty good discussion just today in a club that I was kind of hosting about like masculinity and like talking in this particular case we were talking about like it was a debate, and I brought up like emotion for like should men and women have different jobs? Like, should they have different jobs? Like, men, here's a list of jobs that you're allowed to have. Women, here's a list of jobs that you're allowed to have. Men, you cannot have those jobs that women have, and women, you can't have the jobs that men have. And so it was really interesting because one of the guys. Now, I disagree with one of his mindsets. Like, he was like, well, women are created, or not created. He didn't use created, but he's like, women come into this world and they have a purpose, and their purpose is childbirth. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, okay, let me see where this is going. I'm like, okay, what else you got? He's like, men come in and we don't have a purpose. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like the women are like they have the children, they can raise the children. That's just kind of like their purpose. They're like physical, like that's what they're here for. And I'm like, okay. He's like, me as a guy, I don't have a purpose when I come into this world. Like there's nothing that I'm like supposed to do. And I'm like, I disagree with that, obviously, because like it's not just women who have to take care of children. And I think one of the issues that we have with certain issues in men's like health stems from this idea of men not actually being not being emotional, but also like not being available and vulnerable with their families, but also this idea that it's just kind of like the woman's job. Like, okay, you take care of the kids, I'm gonna go make the money, and then when I come home, I'm just gonna chill, kind of thing. And so I think that was kind of, because I mean, China is rampant with that right now, like where it is the man going out and making the money, and he'll be out for like we normally work 8 to 5 in the U.S. Monday through Friday, generally on average. Here, it's like they've even got this mindset of like what's called 996, which is like 9 in the morning to 9 at night, 6 days a week. So basically, you're working 12 hours a day for 6 days a week, and then you come home and you're there. Like that's kind of like a mentality. Like if you're not willing to work that hard, then you're not like a real man, or if you're not willing to work that hard, you're not a real worker. And so it's like, dang, like you get this more of this aspect of, as a man, it's your responsibility to um, just be the breadwinner, and when you come home, then it's not really expected that you do anything with the family because the wife is supposed to take care of that kind of thing. Again, not saying that like that's a terrible thing, because I mean I know that there are plenty of people who do that, but if you're coming home after one of those days and you're not putting anything into the family, I think that kind of like comes into the issue. And so like
I
that's
mean,
kind of
maybe not, maybe not. Like you're trying to subject the fact that how you feel about you wanting to raise your family is different. If a man provides for his family, that's his job, that's his duty. You know, every man's different, every person's different. Maybe he doesn't interact with his kids like I would interact with my kids, but that doesn't make him wrong for it. That's just who he is as a person. It's not. I mean, I
Explain that to
mean,
me a little more. What do you mean that's just who he is as a person? Like
so like for instance, when my kids are born or were born, I want to be there around them nonstop. You know, some dads don't want to be there for the first days of their lives. Don't like they're scared. They don't know what they're doing. They're not good with babies. Can't handle them. Stuff like that. It's a stressful situation. I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, maybe they're not good raising kids. You see families where like I've seen families where like the dads won't even lift a hand to change diapers. Stuff like that. It's just it's not wrong. It's not how I would do it, but that don't make it wrong. And, who am I to judge what he's doing on the other side of things?
I guess
And at the
that's a
same point, like you see people like bashing them too, like these fathers. My husband never did this. My husband never did that. But what did he do? You can't just look out negative. What was he doing? You know,
and I guess
did
that
he
does
do
like
it?
especially for you coming you speaking from your perspective where like that's what she's saying is that you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, and it's like all negative stuff from her perspective, right?
Right.
Yeah,
But I mean, I'm not saying me in general. I'm saying like other people, like because like I mean, I didn't enjoy changing diapers, but I was changing them nonstop, anyways.
yeah.
But that's my point too. It's like you know, everybody wants to look at. Everybody remembers the bad. Nobody really remembers the good of a person. Honestly, you know, or everybody wants to point out the bad. Everybody's there when you fail versus nobody's there when you succeed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's me because I'll probably change that later, but whatever. It's I might word it differently, but it's not about with your friend. He says, "I have no purpose." Really? Because like, are you not getting food for your family? Are you not making sure they have clothes, a place to stay? You have a purpose. Now, whether you feel like that purpose is good enough for you, that's your own issues. That's your own problem. You know, I'm not happy with my purpose, maybe is how it should be stated. Not, we don't have a purpose. You have a purpose. You have a family. Your purpose is to take care of that family. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's kind of like the challenge. I mean, like I disagreed with him in that relation. I don't know. I kind of feel
But that goes back also to the first quote, like if he feels like he doesn't have a purpose, he doesn't have a mission, well, he
yeah.
needs to find something. He needs to
Well,
find something to pursue.
well, and what Michler is, I think what Michler says about our purpose is that, or our mission. Our mission is to do the three P's that he's got, like the protect, provide, and preside. Right now, personally, like doing these rhetorical analyses that I'm doing with my students right now. This is what we call an alliteration. It's where you have like or like you could say like a list of three or like a repetition. It's this idea of alliteration is where the first part of the word sounds the same. So you have per, right? And then you also have repetition. It's a list of three. It's protect, provide, preside. And it kind of creates this rhythm in your head that kind of like helps to drive home his point. And so it's really interesting use because like I don't think we would. I think we would say protect, provide, and then lead would probably be the normal way of like saying that. But you definitely see him wanting to interject this. Okay, we got protect, provide, preside, and like having that idea of a leadership or like a position of authority in like a gathering. And the thing is like I think I don't know, I think for Mickler, I think the idea of what it means to be a sovereign man or what it means to be in control of your life is also having that, like, because I don't think it's just for men um who are in a relationship. I mean, obviously, I think he's also trying to write to men who may. I think it's mostly to men who are in a relationship because or like have a family. Because I mean, like obviously, he's got years of experience with that. You've got years of experience with that. I've got some experience with some of that, but I think he's trying to reach out to like other men who may be single and giving them this mindset of that their mission, your purpose in life is to protect those who cannot protect themselves or who can't be protected. You need to provide. You need to provide. Like, I don't know. Like I guess just in the sense of like making money for yourself as well as making money for potentially your parents, I guess, or people who need your support, and then preside in the sense of like just leading. I don't know. I guess I don't know. If,
I
I don't
mean,
know
how
what.
how would you how I mean tie that in? I mean, I don't think you can say that honestly. Like, I think you need to backtrack. Like, if you're not a married man or have kids or have somebody that you're actively providing and protecting and presiding over, is it really geared towards single men or men that don't have any of these things? Like, I don't think I don't think this is. I think this is for men that have those things. You know. I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I was by myself or I wasn't married, wasn't seeing nobody. I had a drive. I would go to work. My job was to make money and provide for myself, I guess, so to speak. But of course, protect myself. Now he goes further into talking about protecting, like you said, the people that can't protect themselves. Yeah, I could see that. Protect, provide. But who are you presiding over? Yourself? I mean, is this all just based on yourself?
But it's not. But it can be based on yourself, but it could also be like this idea of being in a leadership role in whatever form or aspect, whether it's leading in a community, whether it's leading in your church, whether it's leading in leading other men, or even to an extent being in a leadership position at work or something like that. Like maybe in that particular sense, having that sense of authority, like right now my job teaching kids, if I wasn't married, like well, even now at my job, like regardless of whether I'm married or not, I'm presiding. I'm an authority figure over these kids, and I'm leading them into a better understanding of, yes, English and American literature and rhetoric, but I'm also leading them in the sense of like trying to help guide them in life, like trying to give them the knowledge that I've gained through 30 plus years of life and trying to instill that on in 16, 17, 18-year olds. Okay, you can say it. It's a good point. And then
I
deep down
mean,
inside.
it's not a bad point. If you're content with that point, then I'll allow it.
You just hate that that's a good point. It's okay. It's all right. But yeah, I
Agree to
mean, so
disagree.
so you sound just like the guy that was arguing today. He was like, "Let's just agree to disagree." I'm like, "We haven't even really like had a discussion about it. Like, you can't agree to disagree without a discussion."
So, funny
So
story. I was talking to somebody, and I don't know, that person might still be watching our podcast.
sweet.
They'll remain unnamed, but I actually had like an active discussion about, yes, they agreed with some of the stuff, but at the same time, they agree with none of the stuff. And it's just to bring a point home. Like, I wanted to get your opinion on it too.
Yeah,
There's a quote. There's a part in book. Like, we're gonna go way back to the front.
way back.
There's a part in the book which I just overlooked it earlier. It was on page 2, which is crazy. It's like way back.
Oh, that is way back.
This cloud delusion makes everything feel real. We feel as if we command our minds, follow our heart, and take control of our bodies. We feel as if we're in charge, but ultimately we're being controlled and manipulated by some outside force we can't quite seem to see or understand. What do you think that means?
Uh,
You
let's
give me
see.
a read again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. After all the truth that we are living in the cloud of delusion.
Okay, so it's actually like the I don't know, like the one, two, three, four, five, six, seventh paragraph in the entire book. Might be on like page 6 for you if
Like,
there's
so
page.
what do I think this the outside force?
Yeah, we think that outside force is talking about.
I would say in that particular case it could because one of the things that I think he was trying to drive home, especially in the introduction and throughout the first parts of the book, I think it's more yeah it, I think it's more that we've kind of allowed things outside of us to control us, to like whether that's media, whether that's our parents, whether that's our wives, whether that's our children, whether that's our jobs, whether that's that all of these outside forces that are beyond us are the reason why we're not you know doing the things that we need to do, that we're kind of allowing it to happen, and we're just kind of
Right.
living life, because like he mentions earlier that it's like the
It's just
status
like
quo.
everyday stuff. Like I feel like I'm in control, but at the same time, like I can't do this because it'll look bad. I don't do this because I'm afraid of getting judged, or I don't do this. It's not like, and that ties back into this whole thing about you're gonna lose friends, you're gonna lose people that you love. Like it's literally like, no, it's not okay. This is happening. I don't agree with it. It's basically when you take back your sovereignty, as the book is saying, it's you are kicking whomever, whatever, media, life, family, be it your parents, be it your wife, be it your brother who lives in China, you're kicking them in the teeth, and basically like, no, enough's enough. This is not okay. I'm not okay with that. And like that, in my opinion, is what he's talking about, sovereignty. You need to step up and realize that you are being controlled by things you don't even think about anymore. Like I was saying, the person I was watching, they made this point, like they made a connection, like, well, he's talking about God. I was like, I don't I don't feel like that's true. I was like, he's talking about God. I was like, let's think about that. I was like, if you believe in God, do you believe in the other force? Maybe he's talking about evil. Maybe he's talking about Satan. Maybe that could be the delusion you're living in. Well, I don't like the way he said that. Sovereignty is only a godly thing. Men can't be sovereign. I was like, see, again, you are like part of the problem almost, in the sense of like you're taking something extreme. I was like, and you're, it's kind of like reading the Bible. I can take something out of the Bible and be like, hey, this is a sin over here. But what does the first verse before it and the last verse after it say? You're taking it out of context. That's a lot of everyday life. I say something that someone else takes out of context, takes whatever they want out of that, and then bam, all of a sudden now I'm in trouble or something like that, or
Yeah,
you said this, you did this. No, I didn't. Like perception,
yeah,
I've
yeah,
said it before. Perception is kicks you in the teeth around American parts. You can't do
yeah,
nothing because someone will perceive it
yeah,
as an act of injustice, as an act, and that's what I think he's talking about too. It's like you're not gonna be liked, probably. You know, you're gonna lose friendships because that's what you're doing. You're stepping up, saying, "No, this isn't right." No matter what you say, no matter who else says it, you know, that's all it is for me.
yeah. I mean, I get that, and there's definitely going to be people who disagree with even this podcast, where they're like, you guys are saying terrible things and trying to get men to be men, and that's not a good thing. Like I think it's interesting because like I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm like sure there are some there are some things that like are very manly that I like to do, but then there are also things that are typically considered feminine that I also enjoy doing, whether that's ballet. I really enjoyed that. Love doing it. Musical theater, those types of things. Like
Who said
being.
that's feminine?
Oh, I know what the hell are you talking about. You know, gotta edit that out.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this
Sure.
question. Musical theater, feminine. When, let's say, all this stuff first started, theater, movies, ballet, was it, and we're talking about way back when, was it women and men, or was it men and then more men portraying women?
I mean, in theater, it was men and then more men.
So how would that be womanly? I would say ballet. I think like dance and stuff like that, like ballet. Let's say I don't know when ballet came around. I can't quote that, but like, you know, I think of like the Nutcracker, the Russian Nutcracker or whatever. The
Yeah.
dancing and all that. The Russians or whatever. That's all men doing that. For you to say it's a woman thing, no, it's
No,
not
no, no.
really.
I'm not saying it's a woman thing, but you just go out there and you just ask anybody. Like you're gonna ask all the
Oh yeah,
people
they'd be
who.
like, "That's gay."
Well,
Here's another thing.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, but again, that's just me being, I would say, a more rounded kind of person in that. Like, I mean, I know you've never done ballet, but that doesn't make you any
What?
less.
I do it every Sunday.
You
I
do
dance
not.
around elegantly my homework that's due.
Yeah, but not in a ballet way. Maybe more in a more
Oh
like
no, no,
modern
no! You
dance
should
kind of
see me
way.
twirling around that stuff on my
You
tiptoes.
you're more like dodgeballing it. You're
What are you
like,
talking about?
huh,
You know what?
huh.
You know what? I live in the ballet of life where you have to dance around everybody's feelings.
You
That's
can
that's
if you can
everything.
dodge a wrench, you can dodge your homework. Huh,
That's right.
huh.
I do it so well. Sunday
um,
evenings at 10 o'clock at night. Oh, it's due. Let's get it
yep,
done.
yep, yeah, I understand that.
Procrastination. That's one thing he mentions. You
Does he?
know. Oh, not in this. In his podcast.
Okay, okay.
He talks
Uh,
about we're
so
procrastinating.
so next up, I guess we'll get into the mission in the second part. And then he
I
breaks
like the
down
book. I feel like we should read that one book he mentions, or at least look at it.
Wild at Heart.
What?
Wild at Heart.
No, no, no. The next one, Colonel Grossman's On Killing. That's where your little thing comes from right there. Not allowing the filter of emotions to taint our ability to desire to make the right choice. So, in the on the Killing book, I haven't read it, but he calls out this colonel who says, you know, you have a predetermined response to
Mm,
certain things in your life. Like,
yeah,
if this happens, this is my response no matter what. And granted, they're talking about war, I imagine. The book's called On Killing. I imagine it
yeah,
has to do with fighting. But that's the point. If you're put in a situation, rather than letting your emotions control you, you have a predetermined response and you act on it, making the right choice 110%. You for me, and I think everybody in America, choice is the problem. You know,
what do you mean?
choices. Do I want a bagel or do I want a banana for breakfast?
Okay,
Simplest, right?
okay,
Choice.
yeah,
Do I want this? Do I want that? Do I want this? Do I want that? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Jobs. Do I go here? Do I go there? Do I go there? You know, choice is, it's hard. And then the other thing is living with your choice, right? Actually, the funny story is like, it's crazy. Like, we started doing this podcast. I'm seeing all these memes and stuff. And I don't know if you sent me this guy on YouTube talking about how, like, why men, or why, I think it's men, but why the top 10%, the wealthy driven people aren't liked is because they don't have time for the BS. They are driven. I shouldn't say BS, but I'm not saying life's BS, but they are driven for a goal, and that is their goal. And you know, nobody likes that person basically. And that's the thing. Like, you know, they have a goal, they're going for something in life, and at the same time, they don't have many friends. Actually, one meme I saw was, on your way to the top, you're going to lose a bunch of friends and people, you're acquainted with. But at the same time, that's why a Bugatti has 2 seats and a bus has 30. You know,
Yeah.
that's a bad meme, but it's like it makes a point. On your way to the top or on your way to whatever you're trying to do in life, you're gonna lose people. Like you're not gonna be. I mean, you're not gonna be favorite of anybody, honestly.
But so then my question is like, because this is kind of like pulling back into kind of like what he brought up earlier in this idea of being in a wolf pack. Yes, we don't need to like, or when we're trying to be better, we're working. We're not trying to be like everybody else. Absolutely. However, the idea of doing it with a minimal amount of people, or almost no, it almost, I feel like it kind of borderlines, because like even to the extent of, because even to this extent of not allowing, like what he says, not allowing emotions to taint the ability to make the right choice. It's kind of like, okay, when do emotions come into play? Because I feel like before it was like he was talking about how men feel like they've got to do stuff by themselves. They can't really open up to other men about it because that's not a manly thing to do. And like men are kind of held to this standard of, you got to have your crap in order, and you can't necessarily show like a weakness or any kind of chink in the armor, so to speak. But that being said, then he's like, but you can't allow emotions to taint your your ability to make the right decisions. And so I'm like, I'm a little confused as to what he's trying to portray, because on one end it's like emotions are good for men, and then on the other end it's like, but they're not. And I'm like,
No, no, you're
okay,
not. You're not seeing it.
all right,
Emotions, yes, are good for men, but at the same time, they can also get in the way. Like expressing yourself as an emotion, like, hey, I don't think that's right. Versus maybe I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't say something because I don't want to be portrayed as this or that. You're still expressing who you are as an individual. Your emotions, you're still. It's not so much just emotions. Also, I think he meant like logically too. Like your head gets in the way a lot. And he says it in the book. Actually, I don't think. I guess you didn't see that. He says it where it's like you're overthinking it. Basically, let me find it. I guess it just says we don't allow the filter of emotions, which I mean, it can be emotions, but it also can just be your thought process. Um,
but I guess is more so like,
but I mean,
I know,
like that's
because
the
because
point.
he
Like
because he
you
brings
stand
up,
by something, and that's your standards, is what he's talking about. That's your code, and no matter how you feel, no matter how you think somebody will react, no matter
yeah,
what, you
I guess
you
I
have.
guess I could understand. I could understand it from that perspective, because like before he starts mentioning anything about those emotions, he goes through the sovereign man's creed that he's got, where it's, this idea of self-reliance, intentionality, discernment, wisdom, ownership, strength, humility, integrity, conviction, self-awareness, discipline, mastery, and courage. And that having, I guess, like having this creed, having this code, internalizing this code, means that your predetermined response to that is not, oh no, like if let's see, I'm trying to think. Oh, we'll take ownership, because I think ownership is kind of an interesting one, where you kind of just own up to your own mistakes and stuff like that.
That means
I think that's part of what it means. I don't think it's all of what it means, but like taking ownership for
okay,
either
sorry.
good things and bad things that you've done. But like when the normal response is, and especially we see this with politicians all the time, you messed up, you made a mistake, and the immediate response, the emotional response, the response of like, I don't want these people to feel a certain way about me. Is no, 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 no. I didn't do it. No, I don't know what you're talking about. That wasn't me. And trying to like push it
So
off or like say,
when I do something wrong, because I'm not perfect. I do wrong things some days. Especially
some
if it
days
pertains.
ending in Y.
Yeah, some days
Yeah,
anyway. Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
Let me make a case in point. So I was at work many years ago, 10, 11 years ago, playing around, goofing off, and I stapled somebody's arm playing around. So what I thought that the stapler was empty. It was a staple gun, big staple gun. Thought it was empty. And what had happened was the latch that kept it from discharging had gotten away, so it wasn't clamping down all the way. So I'm like, it's empty. Well, okay. So I go up to the person, I pow, shoot him right in the arm, just choking, just trying to scare him, right? Staple their sleeve to their arm, right? The person's like, it's not a big deal, it's not an issue, blah blah blah. But my thing was, I do not want them to have that control over me, because if I don't report it and then it comes out, then what would happen,
Right.
And that's the point, I'll be honest to a fault. If you ask me what's going on in my life, if you literally ask me what is going on with me, my wife, my kids, all that other stuff, I will tell you 110% to the truth, to what I think I did wrong, what she said I did wrong, and then what she did wrong, or what I think she did wrong, and what she did too, 100%. But, at the same time, I don't think it's my place to sit there and blast all over Facebook, you know, like my wife is doing, what all is going on.
Yeah.
And that's the point. Like, I don't care to share on here because I feel like it's a part of growth.
Yeah.
I, at the same time, am learning from my mistakes and I'm growing to be a better person. I'm taking back what is mine, which is my sovereignty. So,
Mm-hmm.
To a point, to a fault, I will tell you the truth 110% of the time. Take my consequences and move on about it.
Yep. Yep. So yeah, I mean, I can. So I think that would fall under like the discipline kind of like idea of like being disciplined in that, like kind of like having like self control, like being able to control yourself
No,
to
no,
an
no,
extent.
no, 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 no. I mean,
Not
if I made the mistake, I didn't have discipline or self control.
well, no, 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 no. What I mean, well, I'm sorry, sorry, sorry. Valid point. What I mean is being self
Ownership.
controlled,
Ownership. You're
having
talking about
ownership, and owning your mistakes, but also having discipline in the sense of not putting all the crap out there for everybody to see.
oh yeah, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Integrity is another one.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Mastery, courage. I mean, I'm not saying I'm all these things, but it's like, it takes mastery of my emotions to not put all these lovely text messages out there I've seen that she's had and not blast her. Me putting this out there, I'm weary of it too, in the sense of like, you know, yeah, I'm putting a podcast and I'm not going into detail. I'm trying not to,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but that's the problem. That's the other thing is he's talking about. Like, you need to step out of your comfort zone. Yes, people are not gonna like what you're saying, but it's the truth and it's how I'm affected, and that's what I'm going through, and this is what I see in my life, and it is what it is. At the end of the day, I made a choice to make a comment. Now living with the choices and making myself aware of what that leads to down the road.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. That's all you can say sometimes.
Yep.
There's some things that are out of your control. You can control yourself, but that's it. How other people react to you is not your problem.
Yep. So we'll get into the code of conduct in, I guess, in a few chapters, because that'll be part 3. So that'll be fun to delve more into and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good example of like not allowing, like making sure that your emotions don't or that you maintain that code, that creed, no matter what. That you maintain those, I don't know, 12, I don't know however many there are. That you maintain those no matter what comes your way. And then the last part is where he goes into like the battle plan, because in part 4 he'll basically he just kind of says like You got the information. Everybody has the information. The stuff that he's going to talk about, the stuff that he has talked about, everybody's already got. But it's just there. It's information, but it's kind of like we don't know what to do with it, or more so, we just still kind of make the same
It goes
decisions.
back
The
to being
same,
just goes back to being content, being complacent. Not
yeah,
not wanting to step outside your comfort zone.
not wanting to rock the boat to an extent.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
exactly.
for me, like again, like the biggest thing for me that kind of like sticks out there is just it's gonna be the weight thing. Like I'm not even sure like about the physical, like losing weight and stuff like that. I'm not even sure if that is something that I could even be motivated to do. Um, you know, like like I know the best way to lose weight is to A, eat better, B, exercise. Both of those not really things that I'm like, oh, that's a I mean that's information I already know. That's and so like I'm very curious how he might say something or how he might like get us to do something to make that happen. But yeah, it's just kind of like but like I'm curious about this whole like battle plan. I'm
Actually,
curious
that
about
is a funny story. You're talking about weight loss and whatnot.
yeah.
I was 400 pounds almost at my largest, and
Mm,
I was content. I was happy, right? He talks about don't wait until something happens. Act now how you should be acting.
yeah.
Something's not right. Well, I was content, and basically, I was given an ultimatum by my wife. Either you have the surgery or I'm leaving you because I'm not happy. And I was like, geez. And, some people are like, that's not fair. She shouldn't have done it to you. Yeah, maybe, but at the same time, it's like, that's what it was, too. I got a kick in the teeth realizing, whatever else. Now, granted, knowing what I know now, would I've done it then? Yeah, absolutely. Like, it was the best choice I ever made, honestly. You know, I needed help, and I got help, and now I'm just trying to finish it up myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't wait. Get your butt on a treadmill and start eating right.
No, it's not even so much that. I guess actually what it turns into for me is that it's more along the
Excuses.
lines. No. It's not excuses. Like I really don't want to work out. Period. Like I used to. Like there was a
Get
time
that little
where I was
thing
like,
that
man,
vibrates you,
I get the little thing that like
or
shakes.
the
It just does
electrode
that.
thing. Yeah, the electrode thing works your muscles.
Yeah, that's the lazy man's way. Which, granted, I am the lazy man, and
I
that would
had
be my
surgery.
way. Yeah, but no. What I mean is like for instance, like I here's what I was saying. I don't want to work out. I literally have no interest whatsoever in working out. I don't want to go running. I don't want to lift weights. I'm like I used to. I don't know what it is. Like I would love for something to switch back into my mind where
It's
there
just
was a
you gotta look in
time.
the mirror and be like, man, I love the muscle definition. I'm getting there.
Yeah, but that's
I
the
love
thing is
seeing
like
the veins in my arms.
I think it was like I did and then I didn't. Like and then I did and then I didn't. I was like, yeah, this is great. And then like, and now I'm like, look at this. Yeah, delicious. I'm like I hate seeing this, but not enough to really go and work it out, right? But part of the thing about the laziness is more along the lines of eating. Like I've been very complacent in my diet in the sense that I'm like putting it, and I think I've said this before in earlier podcasts, is that I'm not that I'm putting it all on my wife and saying, okay, you do it all and I'll just chill. But it's kind of turned into that. It's like she's cooking and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I'll just like let it go and like whatever happens, happens. But I do have to, like in that sense, I I I want to be more involved in the foods that we eat, like making decisions for the foods that we eat. As far as working out, man, maybe later, maybe. I just, but as far as the foods, like making the decision of like what foods to eat and cook and those kinds of things, like like yeah, I could definitely see where it's going to be more about
Do you like
implementing.
watching TV?
Love it.
Could you not just like get a bike or something, just work out inside your apartment?
We had a bike before, and I guess we did bike a little bit, but
So for people that are watching us, here we are. Here's my brother. He knows what needs to happen. Don't wait until your wife says do it or don't do it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
mean, that's the worst case scenario. No, that's not the
yeah.
worst case scenario. You could die. I mean, from your health complications.
That's true, also, and that would not be. Yeah, the wife has already been concerned about that. I mean, pretty much the whole like family in law is concerned about that.
I'm
But
not gonna lie. So for me, getting back into the gym after we split up, like I love it. Like it's kind of like a release almost. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the other day I went to the gym Friday. You know, I go with one guy from school, but he didn't go Friday with me. He
right.
had plans, so I went Friday, and I was like, you know, I lifted some weights, and then I did cardio. Like I've been doing the stairmaster, which sucks to say the least. I wonder what's beeping. Something's beeping on mine. Is that you?
Is that? I don't think it's on. I don't think it's on me.
Well,
I do hear it.
so he didn't go Friday, and I wasn't gonna go. And I was like, you know, I got done with work. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym. I got nothing. I got other things I could do. I could have done homework, or I could just come home and just sat down in the chair and been lazy. So
Yeah,
I go to the gym, I work out, do the stairmaster. I'm like, you know, it's almost to the point where like some days when I go with him, I feel I don't want to do this. And he's over there. No, come on, let's go do this. And he's pushing me. You know, he jogs. For if we go upstairs and we jog together, like I'm not gonna be just walking around. He's jogging because I don't like being shown up. You know,
yeah, yeah,
same
yeah,
goes for him. But like then there's days that I do go and it's like, man, I feel great. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And that's what I'm saying. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, I don't want to do it every day. But then there's some days it's like, oh my god, like I feel so good. Like so, I did the stairmaster and then I went and ran for a mile too. I say run. I was half running, half walking. You know.
trotting. Yeah.
No, I'll run. I'll sprint.
Okay.
I'll sprint for half a lap.
Yeah.
You know, it
Well,
takes
well, I
seven
think
laps for a mile. I'll sprint for half a lap every lap.
I think you bring up another good point about like that it does take somebody else to kind of like motivate you in that sense, like to an extent. Like my wife and I are not very good motivators of each other in the sense of like food and workout. It's like come on, and like nah, and it's like more difficult to do that. And I don't know if I don't know. We could probably try to do that, but like even now, I'm pretty sure there's I know that there's a guy that I work with right now that all I would have to do is just go and like hit him up and be like, "Yo, Marvin, listen, I need to lose some weight. I need your help. Please help me. Like I don't care what it takes. Like I've gotta get healthier. I've gotta work out. I've gotta eat right. Like just please give me some guidance." And I know that he would be more than willing to do it. I mean, it's like, and so, and I just
You know,
need to do that.
I'm not gonna lie. Like I got the workout thing under control, right?
Right.
Um, but I know I still don't eat that healthy. You know, I'll wake up. I'll have a protein shake. You know, I'll put some creatine in my coffee. That's right, coffee cream.
I mean, that still sounds
But
fine. Like, I
my
just,
coffee has creamer, so creamer's bad for you.
yeah.
Um, mom likes using Mom likes using sugar in her coffee, so she doesn't have like Splenda. But I prefer Splenda because it doesn't add to the calories, even though it's like supposedly not good for you. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um, and then I know that I need to eat and drink water throughout the day to keep my metabolism
Metazolam.
up.
Metazolam.
Yeah. So eating every day. Well, I don't, and I've just started taking more water intake and cutting back on my coffee. So instead of drinking two 40-ounce cups of coffee, I drink two 20-ounce cups of coffee. You know.
Yeah.
So, and that's the point. It's like I still don't make all the right decisions. I still eat some junk food. I still partake in a few calorie heavy beverages.
Uh, calorie and other heavy beverages.
Right. Be
Yeah,
it soda or maybe a beer or two, or
yeah.
yeah. So stuff like that. I know what I do. I know.
So
Some people. So I've heard people say, I work out just to have a good, be able to eat the good food.
yeah.
Funny.
So so what do you think? So towards the end of this chapter, he talks about challenges, like identifying challenges that will rear their ugly heads. What do you think are challenges to challenges to implementing the knowledge that he's going to give us? What do you think we should do?
Um. Well, I think my challenge is.
Oh okay, yeah. In that sense, for sure. Uh, what else? What else do you think? Like, I know. For me, like, probably the biggest challenge is going to be like the discipline, the
So
like
one
making
challenge
sure
I
that.
face on a day-to-day basis is I don't like looking dumb, stupid. I don't like not looking like I don't know what I'm doing. So
Okay.
like that's bad for schoolwork. Because if I don't know what the hell's going on and I'm not willing to ask, that's part of my problem. So that's a challenge. But like I feel like that person that was watching the thing came at the podcast and at the book all the wrong way. I was like, we're gonna have people that are gonna be like, "Hey, your podcast is stupid. Hey, you're wrong." Like you said, people are gonna not like it.
Yep.
Um, you might have a spouse that wants to just throw you in jail because they want to make up lies about stuff, whatever. I mean, you can't account for what it is. Honestly, I don't know. Like until I get there, it could be anything. I mean, challenges like for me with exercising, like I'm still big. My ankles are popping like crazy. My knees ache after I run a mile.
Uh,
You know, next day instead of me running a mile and instead of me not doing it at all, I'll go and bike for you know 20 minutes. I'll try and get like 15, 20 minutes of cardio. I'll go stairs master for 15 minutes.
yeah.
It's when you're challenged what you do in response to that challenge.
Yeah.
Anything's going to challenge you. Everything's going to challenge you.
Yeah.
Do you quit or do you move on or do you try something new?
Yep. I think the challenges for me are going to be probably more so with like the weight, like actually putting in an effort on that, and then also even like with my work right now, like making it a point to um be more active in that instead of kind of being lackadaisical with it. I think that that'll be something, a challenge that'll pop up in relationship to this. I think that'll be, but it'd be good. I mean, I'm curious to see what we'll get to next. And so yeah. So next out, we'll talk about part two, the mission, and
I think we need to.
maybe
I'm
getting
gonna
there.
go. I'm gonna go video list for a little bit. You can still hear me, right?
I can hear you. Why are you going video this?
Cause I'm gonna change into my church clothes.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
I got
So
like 15
I guess
minutes. To get to it.
how about I stop this and then we'll just.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right. Let me do like a
You can
sign
do
out.
a monologue and be like Andrew has to leave.
No. We'll do a sign out and then I'll stop it that way. All right. So next on the docket we've got the part two mission. Thank you as always for watching or listening, whichever way you decide to consume this content. I hope this was useful. If you haven't already, subscribe or subscribe. I guess is the only thing that you can do, because if it's a podcast, subscribe. If it's YouTube, subscribe. Leave us some comments. Leave us a review. If you think that this was good, tell us. If you think it was bad, don't leave a review.
Don't tell us.
Yeah, don't tell us. But appreciate you guys being here, and we'll catch you next time.